Best friend made me spend $5,000 on her wedding, then kicked me out at the last minute for refusing to buy an $800 bridesmaid dress. She also canceled my hotel room and kept all my money until I took her to court. I, 30F, have been friends with Catherine, 29F, for over a decade, and she asked me to be a bridesmaid in her destination wedding. I've bent over backwards helping Catherine plan her wedding. I helped make DIY centerpieces, addressed all her invitations by hand, organized the bachelorette party, and even loaned her some money early on for wedding deposits when their budget was tight. This wedding has basically been my part-time job for months. The wedding itself is scheduled for next month at a luxury resort in Mexico. It's an all-inclusive deal, not cheap at all. I've already paid for my flight, my room as part of the couple's group booking, my bridesmaid dress and alterations, and various other expenses like the bridal shower and bachelorette. All in all, it's over 5,000 Canadian dollars I've shelled out to be part of this. It was a lot of money for me, but I wanted to be there for my friend and make her day special. Here's where it all went to hell. Catherine changed the bridesmaid dresses last minute. I had already bought the original dress months ago, which she approved at the time. Suddenly, about 3 weeks before the wedding, Catherine decides she hates the dresses we all bought and wants a different style, color. The new choice is way more expensive than the first one, and it would require rush alterations to fit me. It's also something I honestly can't afford right now, especially after everything else I've spent. The original dress cost me $300, and the new one she wants us to get is about $800 after tax and rush fees. I told Catherine I was really sorry, but I can't afford that, and asked if I could just wear the original dress since I already have it. It's the same color family as the new one, not like a random color. I also suggested maybe I could rent a similar dress to the new one, instead of buying it outright. Catherine flipped at this. She said I was ruining her vision, and that as a bridesmaid, I should be willing to do whatever to make her happy on her big day. I reminded her I've done a lot already, and I'm not trying to be difficult. I just literally don't have $800 extra lying around. Long story short, the conversation got heated. She kept saying I was letting her down. I said she was being unfair. It ended with her uninviting me from the bridal party. I got a text later that day basically saying I was out as a bridesmaid because I don't care enough about her wedding. I was completely caught off guard, but honestly also a bit relieved in the moment because the conflict was so intense. I figured, okay, she doesn't want me as bridesmaid, I'll just attend as a regular guest then. But nope. A couple days later, Catherine and her fiancé, 31M, went nuclear on me. They told me I'm actually uninvited from the wedding entirely. Their reasoning was that they don't want any drama at their wedding and that since I'm not in the bridal party anymore, I shouldn't bother coming. I was shocked and hurt. Like, I've spent all this money to celebrate with them, and now I'm literally disinvited for basically being too poor to afford a second dress. It gets worse. The wedding is at a resort, and I had booked my room as part of their group reservation block to get a discounted rate. Catherine informed me that they've already canceled my reservation on my behalf. The resort is fully booked for the wedding dates, so it's not like I can just rebook on my own easily, and even if I could, I'd have to pay full price at this point. By canceling on such short notice, I can't even get a refund for the deposit I paid. Same with my flight. It was a discounted fare, so not refundable. I might get some credit back, but not for the full amount. I called the resort in a panic, and they confirmed my reservation was indeed canceled by the couple's travel coordinator because we're so close to the check-in date. The deposit is forfeited. Basically, I'm out thousands of dollars. Catherine and her fiancé essentially told me, too bad, should have just bought the dress. They are being incredibly cold about it. When I pleaded that I at least be allowed to attend as a guest, or, at minimum, not cancel my hotel so I could still use the vacation I paid for. Catherine's fiancé said something like, "We don't want you there, and we're not responsible for your finances." I'll admit, I lost my cool at that point. I said some choice words to both of them out of frustration and anger. I told them they were out of their minds treating people this way after all the help and money I've given them. I also said that if they weren't going to let me come or refund me, I was going to warn others about how they treat their friends. Not my finest moment, but I was just so angry. Catherine hung up on me, and her fiancé basically told me to "Bah, off," and stop harassing them about money. Since then, I've been removed from all the wedding group chats. And a couple of mutual friends who are going to the wedding said Catherine told them I bailed due to personal reasons. She's making it sound like I dropped out on my own to save face. Now I'm sitting here with $5,000 of non-refundable expenses, an ex-friend who I feel completely used by, and a bunch of other people telling me just to let it go because weddings make people crazy. Catherine and her fiancé have accused me of trying to sabotage their wedding with drama, and said I'm selfish for making this about money. I feel like they made it about money by changing things last minute. I genuinely don't know. Was I the here? Should I have just sucked it up and bought the stupid dress to avoid all this? I didn't intend to cause drama. I just couldn't afford that dress. But now, I've basically lost a friend. And a ton of money. So, Reddit Ida Update 1. Hey everyone. I didn't expect my post to get so much attention. I'm honestly overwhelmed by the response, but thank you to everyone who took the time to comment. I have a few updates and clarifications based on common questions and suggestions. First off, I kind of expected people to say Catherine was being a bridezilla, but I also saw a few comments wondering if I left something out, or if there's another side to this. I can honestly say there is no juicy secret reason I was booted. Some asked if maybe I did something like upstage her, flirt with the groom, or have some hidden beef. Nothing like that. It really does boil down to me not immediately obeying her last-minute demands. About the reservation and money, a lot of you were confused how Catherine could cancel my resort booking. To clarify, Catherine organized a group booking for the wedding guests. She had everyone send their share of the hotel payment to her or her wedding account so she could book all the rooms together and get a group discount. In hindsight, that was a terrible idea because it meant she had control of the money. I paid her for my portion of the room months ago. So, yes, she literally had the power to cancel my reservation since it was technically booked under her name with the resort. And that's exactly what they did when they kicked me out. The resort told me the booking was canceled, and any refund, which is mostly forfeited due to the timing, goes to the group organizer, i.e., Catherine. So she and her fiancé would get that money, if any. It's basically theft, as many of you pointed out. I did call the resort and explain the situation, but they said there's nothing they can do since I wasn't the one who made the booking. They were polite, but essentially said, my issue is with the couple who organized it. I also contacted the airline about my flight. I can get a travel credit after paying a fee. So, at least I won't lose all of that money. Small relief, I guess. And oh boy, you guys really came through with the advice to take this to court. I'll admit, when this first happened, I was so upset and thought maybe I should just eat the loss and move on to avoid more drama. But seeing so many comments and some legal-minded folks suggesting I sue for what they effectively stole gave me confidence. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. I paid for a service, the hotel, that I'm not getting to use because of their actions. So yes, I've started the process to go to small claims. I sent a formal demand letter, well, email first, as suggested. I basically said, "You canceled my paid reservation and have refused to refund me. I am requesting reimbursement of X amount by date, or I'll pursue this in court." The groom responded with pretty much LOL. See you in court. So, all right then. I've gathered all my receipts, bank transfers, text messages, etc., and I'll be filing the claim this week. It sucks that it's come to this, but I'm not rich, and I can't just let $5,000 evaporate because my friend turned into whatever this is. One of the bridesmaids, I'll call her Jen, actually reached out to me after I was booted. Catherine told the bridal party some story that I dropped out because I couldn't handle the costs, trying to make it sound like I flaked. I gave Jen the real story. She was horrified and said she suspected something was off because Catherine was acting oddly about it. Jen is still in the wedding. It's next month, but she and I are cool. She even offered to testify or write a statement for me if I need it for court, since she saw how much I did and how the dress situation went down in the group chat. I don't know if I'll need that, but it's nice to have someone else who witnessed the crazy firsthand. Meanwhile, a couple of our friends, not in the wedding party, also know what happened now. I kind of avoided telling too many people initially out of embarrassment, but after reading comments, I realized I shouldn't be ashamed. I didn't do anything wrong. So, when they asked if I was going to Mexico, I told them the truth. Let's just say Catherine and her fiancé's reputation is taking a hit. These friends are pissed. One of them, who is going to attend, is actually considering dropping out of attending as a guest because she doesn't want to support that kind of behavior. I told her it's her call. I don't expect anyone to boycott, but I sure appreciate the loyalty. Update 2. Hi again. After my last update, I actually got a call from Catherine's mother. I was a bit surprised because I didn't intend to involve her family, but I'm not shocked she found out. Our friends have loose lips, and word got around. Catherine's mom apologized to me and said she heard about the situation. Apparently, one of the friends I confided in confronted her at the grocery store, small-town vibes, and expressed how shitty it was that I got kicked out. So, her mom called to get my side. I gave her the short version. She was appalled. She said she did not raise her daughter to act like this, and even offered to reimburse me herself if Catherine and fiancé don't. I was honestly taken aback. Her mom is the sweetest lady, and I could tell she felt genuinely terrible. I said I really appreciate the offer, but this is something Catherine and her fiancé need to own up to themselves. Her paying on their behalf would just let them off the hook, and they'd probably happily take her money and still think they did nothing wrong. Catherine's mom agreed and said she'd be having a serious talk with them. She also hinted that I'm not the only one Catherine has been treating poorly lately. Apparently, there's other wedding drama, like issues with vendors and even with the groom's family. Sounds like the bridezilla behavior isn't just directed at me. Yikes. Reaction to the legal threat. So, I officially filed the small claims case. It's in motion. I haven't served them the papers yet. That's happening soon. However, I did inform Catherine after her mom called to give one more chance that I had filed. I texted something like, "Just letting you know I have now filed a claim to recoup the money for resort name, booking, and other expenses. You will be served soon. I am still open to discussing an out-of-court resolution, if you prefer." They left me on red. No response. But guess what? The groom then decided to pipe up separately. He left me a voicemail basically saying I'm an awful person for dragging them to court and trying to ruin their wedding. He said I was money-grubbing and that I already upset Catherine enough, so I should just back off if I ever cared about her at all. He also threw in something about me being bitter that I'm not in the wedding and trying to take revenge. Honestly, hearing that message just solidified my resolve. It was so unhinged and unfair. They screw me over and then call me money-grubbing for wanting back what I paid. Get out of here with that. Also, remember that friend who was considering not attending the wedding? She actually went through with it. She told Catherine she's not coming because what they did to me was unacceptable. This turned into a whole blow-up, too, because Catherine is apparently fuming that I've been talking about her and turning people against her. This friend said right to Catherine's face, or text, I don't know, that Catherine made her own bed by treating people like crap. From what I hear, a few other acquaintances in our circle are also distancing themselves now. Not sure how big of a splash this is making in Catherine's world, but I have a feeling the wedding atmosphere is pretty effed up. A few people asked if I could still go on the trip for a vacation since I have the time off and a flight credit. As of now, I've decided not to go to that same resort during the wedding. The last thing I want is to be accused of stalking or trying to crash their wedding. I did consider rebooking a solo trip elsewhere with a credit, but I might save it for later. To be honest, this whole thing has soured my excitement for travel in the immediate future. I'm just focusing on the legal case and keeping calm. The wedding is coming up in about 2 weeks. I probably won't hear much until then, unless there's another blow-up. I do worry that they'll try to retaliate somehow, maybe try to smear me online or something. I've saved all communications just in case. Some of you suggested I post publicly to warn others, but I'm holding off on any social media blasts. Last thing I need is them claiming I ruined their wedding by airing dirty laundry. I'll let the legal action speak for me for now. I'll update again if something significant happens. Maybe after the wedding when people might be more willing to spill the tea on how it went. I have a feeling this isn't over yet. Update 3. So, the wedding day has come and gone. Strap in because I've got the post-wedding tea and it is piping hot. I obviously did not attend, but I got multiple first-hand accounts from people who were there. Some guests, plus our friend Jen from the bridal party, kept me in the loop. It was apparently a blank show. According to Jen, the mood at the wedding was weird. A few people noticed my absence and asked about me. Jen said she heard at least a couple guests who knew me casually ask, "Hey, how come my name isn't here?" Catherine had instructed the bridal party to give a vague "oh." She couldn't make it answer, so that's what they did initially. But then, at the rehearsal dinner, things went sideways. One of our friends, who is firmly on my side and had already told Catherine she wasn't coming, let's call her Anna, actually showed up at the resort uninvited because Catherine's mom asked her to come and support the mom. Background: Anna's family is close to Catherine's family. So at the rehearsal dinner, Anna was there and someone innocently mentioned something about me not being there. And apparently Anna, who gives zero auf, said loudly, "Oh, you mean because she got kicked out for not buying a second dress? Yeah, that was messed up. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for that." This comment caused a bit of a stir, I'm told. The groom's family was like, "Wait, what happened?" And the truth started coming out in hushed conversations. Catherine and her fiancé tried to do damage control, but the cat was out of the bag for some folks. By the wedding day, word had spread among a chunk of guests about why I couldn't make it. I'm guessing mostly via Anna, and maybe the mom or others talking. It wasn't like a huge announcement or anything, but people gossip. Jen told me that at the reception, a couple of Catherine's own relatives actually came up to her, Jen, and said what happened to me was awful and asked if I was okay. Jen just told them I'm fine and that she'd pass along their regards. Now, apparently, Catherine had a meltdown at the reception after a few too many drinks. She ended up in tears, ranting to some bridesmaids about how I betrayed her and then ruined her wedding by turning people against her. Mind you, I wasn't even there. It seems like guilt or embarrassment caught up with her when people found out the truth. The groom had to calm her down, and they left their own after-party early. So on her big day, she's stewing about me. What a mess. I got all this info the next day from Jen and also text from Catherine's mom. The mom basically said the wedding had some drama and that Catherine was very upset, and maybe I could talk to her to smooth things over after they get back from their honeymoon. I told her mom as kindly as I could that I'm not interested in talking to Catherine right now, especially not to soothe her guilt while she still hasn't made things right with me. Catherine hasn't reached out to me at all. Oh, also, fun fact. Remember how they canned my hotel room? They ended up giving that room to one of the groom's cousins, since it was paid for already. That cousin apparently had no idea about the drama. He thought I had just canned and freed up the spot. Lucky him, I guess. Free room. I don't really care about that part, except it shows they were determined to not refund me or let the room go to waste. They'd rather someone else use it than me. As for the small claims case, they were served with the court papers according to the process server the day before they left for their honeymoon. Talk about timing. I haven't heard from Catherine or her husband directly, but I imagine that added to their lovely privation stress. Oh well. From what I hear, the newlyweds are now off on their honeymoon pretending everything is fine. But half their friend group, including me, is kind of done with them. I've gotten so many messages from people who were at the wedding or heard about it afterward, basically saying, WTF? Was that about? They're crazy for doing that to you. Anyway, I'm going to let them have their honeymoon peace. I'm not trying to be cruel. I just want my money back and to be done with this. The court date is set for a few weeks from now. We'll see what happens at the hearing. Update 4. Time for the legal update, which honestly is the part I've been dying to share. We had our day in court, small claims, and the result is in. Catherine and her now husband did show up to the hearing, I might add. I was there with all my documentation, feeling nervous. I also had a written statement from Jen, bridesmaid, about the dress debacle, and from another friend about the cancellation, just in case. The judge listened to both sides. The couple's defense, if you can call it that, was that the money I paid was a gift, and that I chose to back out of the wedding. So they claimed they didn't owe me anything. They actually tried to paint it like I got cold feet about spending, and I quit, which made me silently see. But I kept calm and showed the judge the texts of Catherine, explicitly kicking me out and telling me not to come, as well as proof of my payments for the hotel and dress, etc. The judge did not seem impressed with their. It was a gift argument, especially when I pointed out that I never would have canceled on my own and that they were the ones who removed me and canceled my accommodations. In the end, the judge ruled in my favor. They have to reimburse me roughly 3,700 Canadians, which covers the hotel deposit, the bridesmaid dress cost, and the non-refundable portion of my flight. I had itemized everything. I didn't get every penny of the $5,000. Some smaller incidentals, or the bachelorette party costs, I didn't even bother claiming, but I got the big chunks back. Catherine looked pissed. The groom just shook his head and muttered unbelievable under his breath when the judgment was read. They didn't say much else. Funny side note, as we were leaving, the groom did hiss at me. "Hope you're happy." I replied, "I will be when I get the payment back." And that was that. They walked out with nothing more to say. Aftermath, since the judgment, I've received a few messages from friends basically saying, "Wow, you actually went through with it. They thought you were bluffing." One even said, "Catherine is complaining that I humiliated them and that I'm petty for taking it to court. I just responded that I gave them plenty of chances to do the right thing, and they chose not to, so it's on them. If standing up for myself makes me petty, I can live with that." Catherine's mom, who did end up coming to the hearing, by the way, she sat quietly in the back for support, called me afterward to check in. She again apologized for her daughter's behavior. She also mentioned that she and Catherine's dad are personally disappointed in the couple. Apparently, they told Catherine and her husband to just pay me back and avoid all this, but pride and stubbornness won out. Who'd have thought being bad to a friend could have social consequences, huh? I haven't received the money yet, but they have a set time frame, 30 days per the judgment, to pay up. If they don't, I can take steps to enforce it. Liens, collections, etc. Given their attitude, I half expect they'll drag their feet out of spite. But at this point, I have legal avenues, and they know I'm not afraid to use them. So, I'm feeling pretty confident I'll see that money. Update 5. This should be the final update to close the book on this whole saga. A lot has happened and also not happened. So, I wanted to wait until I actually had the money in hand and could see how the dust settled. They waited until the literal last day of the court-ordered deadline, but Catherine and her husband did pay up. I got a bank draft in the mail for the $3,700. But hey, I won't complain. Depositing that check felt damn good. It's not every day you successfully hold someone accountable like this. I used part of the money to pay off the credit card I'd put all those wedding expenses on. So, that's a big relief. The social fallout has been interesting. Our friend group basically split. A few people are still somehow Team Catherine. Mostly folks who weren't close to me or who buy her twisted version of the story. But the majority think the couple acted appallingly. I grabbed coffee with Jen, Bridesmaid, and Anna, the friend who spilled the tea at the wedding last week, and they told me that even some of the wedding guests, who only heard about everything later, were appalled. Apparently, one of the other bridesmaids, who I'm not even close with, told Catherine after the honeymoon that she was way out of line, kicking me out. That bridesmaid is still in Catherine's life, but said her view of her has changed a lot. So, at the very least, Catherine lost a lot of respect from several people over this. Catherine and her husband have been laying pretty low on social media. They posted some gorgeous professional wedding photos with a caption about, "When people show you who they are, believe them," which is hilarious, given everything. The comments were mostly generic congrats, but I noticed a few usual friends were conspicuously silent. Seems like some folks are quietly distancing themselves. Also, minor karma tidbit. I found out the resort charged them an extra fee for transferring my canceled reservation to that cousin since it was a late change. So they didn't even save any money by screwing me over. It either cost them or cost someone else. Chef's kiss. I'm doing fine now. Losing a friend of 10+ years sucks, but the person Catherine showed herself to be is not someone I want as a friend anyway. I'll cherish the good memories, but I'm not dwelling on the bad. I'm grateful for the friends who had my back, and for the internet strangers who gave me solid advice and support. No more wedding drama for me for a long time, though. I've had my fill. The next vacation I take will be 100% on my own terms, with no bridezillas involved. All right, Reddit. Time to put this drama to bed. Opt out, my wife announced. I've been recording everything for my lawyer. Threateningly, I said, me too. When her lawyer heard her admitting to tax fraud on those same recordings, the case took a turn that I, 38, male, had been married to Bethany, 35, for 7 years. The last 2 were rough, not going to sugarcoat it. We were heading for divorce. We both knew it. The only question was, who'd file first, and how ugly it would get. Bethany ran a small online boutique selling handmade jewelry. Started as